So welcome to this first part of the video. I'm walking from my own home to my parents' home, which is about an hour walk, so it will take longer now that I'm doing this. I figured this is leidserijn. So leidserijn is basically the newest part of the city, and where we are standing now is basically going to be the connecting way between the new part of the city and the old part of the city. And I'm making this because, well, I can still do it now, and also for some family members, both in the Netherlands and maybe in America. Over there you see the bridge, which is basically connecting us to the old part. Not everybody will recognize it because it's not the white bridge that we had like 10 years ago. It's now a new bridge, and over there is the old part of the city. So this part is actually used to be one of the main roads in the Netherlands, the A2, the A2, which is running below us. It's basically, I'm standing on top of it, and it's going from there to there. And well, it's now below ground, and they are slowly building the new part of the connecting way between the old city and the new part of the city. They are building it here. So this will be called Leidserijn Centrum. Weirdly enough, it's called Berlin Square. Don't ask me why, but you can already see far away there. There's the cinema on the square, and there's another tunnel, as you can see, running over here, which is kind of connecting different parts. And I used to live, or I still live, in the neighborhood over there, which used to be the edge of the new part. But as you can already see, there's a lot of new parts of the city being added, and this will be home to about 100,000 people, I think. So you can see that it's quite big, and you can also notice that there's a lot of bicycles around, which is of course a Dutch thing. So how they are going to connect up the old part and the new part of the city is going to be part of this small video, because we will see what they are building now. And well, like I said, I can still do it now. In a few years it will be probably one big sort of city with two connecting roads. So this is the second part of the video. We are now standing basically what will be part of Leidserijn Centrum, and well, the nice thing about it is that you can still see how it used to be a tiny bit. This is one of the old sort of farmhouses, the only one that they will probably keep standing. For the older people, and when I was a kid, when you came back to Utrecht, you would first see 3 towers. There's only one left, they built a new one. From the Peges, which is a power plant, and there was first the rings on top, which were of course for the planes, would be the first thing that you would see, and you would know that you are getting close to the city. So again, there's the new part with the centrum, and the A2 is below that. I'm filming this into the sun, which makes it probably a bit difficult. For people who have been here in the last few years, where I'm pointing now used to be leidserijn Vredenburg, so you used to be able to see concerts there. They already removed that part. So, and this is basically the part of the new city. So there we see the Douwe Egberts coffee place, where they make the coffee. We'll show that later. The bridge to the new part, and as you can see, this is still heavily under rebuilding at the moment. So it's even interesting for me. I sometimes am not at home for a few weeks, and then everything changes again. And this pile of dirt and the fact that the buses are not here anymore is totally also new to me. So this is basically what we are looking at. Train track. There's no train at the moment. If you're lucky, there will be a train passing, but the train track is basically the thing that they are building now into the city. Very important, because it's the last part going into Utrecht that's not been what they call doubled. So it's still only 2 tracks instead of 4. And Utrecht is a major connection point in our rail system, so they are slowly doing that. And the bridge that you're seeing there, the second one, not the first one, but the second one will actually be doubled. So they will build a bridge next to it or attached to it while the trains are still running on top. So that's going to be interesting. So this was the second part of the video. This is the third part of the video. We are now standing next to the bridge in I would almost argue one thing is which you have to be careful for in the Netherlands is all the bikes. So I'm standing actually in where a bike lane used to be. It went that away, kind of. They totally removed this, so that's why I feel this is a safe place to stand. Because when I'm on the bridge, which will be on this side, so that's the Pegas again, the old power plant. And we are now sort of looking to two bridges. And again, the coffee making place, Douwe Egberts, where they make the coffee. That's why this bridge in the old days and maybe even today is also called the Koffiebrug, so the coffee bridge. So yeah, they're clearly rebuilding. One interesting detail for the people in this area is, I guess, they always had this plan. So the buses used to be moving here and doing a weird sort of loop-de-loop. It looks like, and we are lucky because there's a train already now passing. They are now sort of making the bus go this way and entering the new city center over there. And the big reshuffling they are doing now is adding an extra lanes to the bridge. So that bridge over there will be doubled so that more trains can go into Utrecht Centrum, the old part. Like I said before, these two city centers will be connected up. So this used to be an old white bridge. It was much smaller. It's now quite a big bridge, and you'll see on the other side a little bit more. But again, this is called the coffee bridge, at least that's what we used to call it. So, and the coffee plant is over there basically. So you can also see the water over there which is passing, which is Amsterdam-Rijnkanaal. So one of the biggest canals in the country going to Amsterdam. So we're now in the middle of the bridge, and as you can see, boats are passing below us, and this is quite a safe place to stand because there's a path for walking people, since most people, or a lot of people, are using the bike to go from one area of the city to the other area of the city. One of the nice things in our country is that there's a lot of infrastructure for trains and buses and bicycles. What they are basically doing in Utrecht is sort of, I would almost say, make it car not unfriendly, but push back what happened in the 60s, where everything was prepared for cars. They are now kind of taking that all out again. So they are bringing parts of the waterways back, returning canals which were there before, which they all dumped in the 1960s. They are now reintroducing them, but also adding massive amounts of bicycle lanes. And if you've ever been into Utrecht Central Station, you'll see how many bikes there are. It's a crazy amount. And most people will use the bike to go, or the bus. I was just talking about the bus before, and there are special bus lanes. So you see on this bridge, for example, there's two lanes for well, although I'm not sure if you would call them lanes, for bicycles. Then you have your car lanes, but you also see the bus already going there, and there are special bus lanes all in the city, which so that they don't have to stop for any traffic, and most of the time also no traffic lights, and they can quickly go from one part to the other. And there we see the train sort of passing. So, kind of nice. So I'm now standing next to the bridge, kind of on a special structure. Below us we see the big canal, which connects large parts of the Netherlands. And in the far away we see the new city part with all the infrastructure. The reason I stopped here, of course it's a nice view, but it's also for many people in the Netherlands kind of a point that they recognize. Let me walk to it. So here is where I was talking about. They make the coffee. I have to be careful not to fall down. But you can see, if I zoom in, that it says coffee branded for the Netherlands. So branded doesn't mean like branded like from a PR point of view, but really where they create the coffee. So this is all part of the old factory, and you see that it's attached to the water. Well, you can't see, but there you see the water, so that they can get their stuff away. And like I said, this bridge is in the old days was called the coffee bridge, because even now, if you are coming into the city, into this part, depending on the wind, because they had to make larger exhaust or higher exhaust, but still you can smell the coffee when you're coming into the city. So actually going to walk a little bit for this part, because again we are now at the other end of the bridge, and this is what is really changing extremely quickly. You see the traffic already are still flowing, but you see the 3 bridges, and there will be a second bridge, railroad bridge between it, and they are building it now. Let me zoom out. If you're lucky, we will hear a train come by. I'm also not sure how well you can hear this, because well, it's also the noisiest place. But this has totally changed. So when I was a kid, and I guess also other family members remember that this was all green, and where I'm pointing now was kind of a place where you could buy, it was a tank station, and you could buy ice cream and other stuff over there. It's not there anymore, of course. And on the other side, like I said before, is the coffee roasting plant from Douwe Egberts. So back further down the bridge. This is actually a very interesting point of view for me personally, and also probably some family members. My grandma and as a result my dad grew up in one of these flats over there. And if we go that way, we will go to my parents' home, which is a little bit further on the road. And my mom, and I'm guessing other people, used to work when they were younger in the coffee plant we talked about before. So why is this interesting? So maybe people who lived here or grew up here remember that this place is probably where the gas station was, where now the sign is, where they actually are explaining what's going to happen. So this part, the rail that you see already over there, is going to be massively sort of extended this way, so that we can have more railroad tracks. I don't think I want to live there, because there's going to be much closer, but they have to sort of make it past these homes quite tightly compared to before. And I will walk that way, and normally I would have walked that way, how the bus is going. So basically it goes that way into the old city. So we have now basically walked the whole route from the old part to the new part. And as you notice, both the bikes and the buses can quite easily pass through these areas, and quite quickly. But I will walk that way, because I think it's more interesting to see what they are doing. So now a bit from the other side. So I'm kind of standing where I imagine the gas station used to be, with the ice creams as a kid. So one thing I want to show you here is how much space in general they keep for the buses. So the first 2 lanes we are seeing, you see actually how it works. The buses are coming up now. Quite a lot of the space is preserved all the way into the city for buses, and the smallest part, I would argue, is kept for the normal cars. You'll probably see some cars passing. Let me pan there now over there, and you see the bicycles going, and most of the time the areas for the bicycles is either on par or even bigger than the room that they keep for the normal cars into the city. So it's kind of, if you want to place it into an order, first the buses, then the bicycles, and then the cars. So, and again, this is where my dad and my grandma used to live, and you can still recognize it a bit, but for the rest, especially this part, is changing extremely quickly. So again, mostly for family members, both locally and in America. This is where it's still there, is the playground behind grandma's home. And what you can see if I turn around, how quickly this is changing. This is basically now totally being dug open, and all the trees and the green which was there is now gone, because they are going to add these train lanes. What I noticed when I was walking here is also how straight all the bicycle paths and the walking paths will be, all the way up to almost my parents' home. So I think this might be my new route when I'm walking to them or bicycling to them. Just as a point of reference, there we see the old or older BP gas station, which you might recognize, and behind these buildings I'm not going to show you, but somewhere over there is the church, the yellow church. So yeah, lots of changes. And what I find extremely interesting from a technical point of view, but I'm a nerd in this way, is how they are basically adding 2 lanes, and they have to, of course, I'm guessing they are going to make this higher, so you can already see it over there. They're going to add a lot of sand, and that the trains will be coming way closer. If you look at how wide the 2 tracks are, so you can of course kind of guess, because you see the track, the power system for that has to be added all the way here, and it will go into all the way that direction, which as a kid, and I'm guessing some of you also as kids, have been playing around quite a lot. So there is a train here, which I decided to take advantage of when I heard it. So you see it now going to the bridge that I was talking about. And what's interesting here is that indeed the green sort of stroke that I'm standing in now has always been there, at least when, as far as I remember, so 30-40 years. It's much wider than I remembered, so I think most of the building into or the digging is kind of done here, because they already prepared the new tracks over there, and the houses are over there. So that's pretty okay. So we can almost see the central station over there, kind of. But you can see, and maybe they've already been thinking about this for the last 20-30 years. So slowly they changed parts to make this change happen, which I find kind of interesting, or fascinating, I can almost say. So, almost the last video. I think I will make one more and then we're done. Actually making an extra stop because I'm kind of amazed at what I'm seeing. That actually they are building new homes on this side, or at least this home, of the road. So the tracks are behind there. Maybe we get lucky, we have another train coming by. But I suspected that they wouldn't do that, but they are actually allowing more people to build homes on this side. And I think the train is coming. Well, clearly a train is coming. You can see it pass over there. So you have to have a pretty good sound installation if you want to live there. But I guess it's still one of the few places in the Utrecht, close to the city center, that you can have a new home built, I guess. An unprepared stop, simply because I want to show the square and the place where one of my old schools used to be. This is over there. Weirdly enough, they built new homes in kind of the shape of the old school. In that, the thing that you are seeing now was before the canteen or the aula of the school. And making a small turnaround. So you still can see garage over there, and I did my automotive part of my education over there. So I did electronics and now I'm into computers, but when I started as a kid it was cars. So they used to teach me how to fiddle with cars over there, and I did quite well, but life went in another direction, especially in the let's say mid-80s when computers came up. That was my thing. So there another train is coming, So if this footage is a little bit unclear or moving about, it's because my glasses are basically sort of clogging up. So now I can't see what I'm doing, which is an interesting conclusion when making this video. In the middle because I like this artwork that somebody made on the side of the home. So we are now, and I will keep the camera running, walking to the square called the Schimmelplein, and I spent a lot of time here as a kid. Basically because over there, we will walk a little bit further later, but over there was the school for very young kids, so creche and lagere school, the lower levels of the school education system. And over there was a big church, and behind the church basically the ages 6 till 12 schooling where I went. And over there in the old days, a little bit further there, was my first home, I guess, when until my parents moved, and they actually moved, and I have to sidestep a bit over here to that building that we see over there. So everything kind of interesting and close, because just to give you an idea again, so over there is the parallel road, and if you would continue walking this road, you will also get to my grandma's home again, in a way. So